While we all remember the massive hits like Joy to the World by Three Dog Night and Maggie May by Rod Stewart, countless other gems from that remarkable year have slipped through the cracks of time. These weren't just album tracks or B-sides. They were legitimate chart hits that once filled radio waves and sparked conversations. Today, we're dusting off 15 forgotten hits from 1971. You must hear again. Number 15, Go Away Little Girl by Donny Osmond.
Go away, little girl.
Often forgotten today, this chart-topping hit from September 1971 marked Donny Osmond's rise as a teen idol. Originally written by Goffin and King, the song had already been a hit in the 60s, but Donny's youthful sincerity gave it new life.
I'm not supposed to be.
At just 13, he delivered a polished yet earnest performance, backed by lush early 70s orchestration. The song symbolized the Osmonds' shift from variety show staples to legit pop stars. Though overshadowed by later hits like Puppy Love, it was a key stepping stone in Donny's career, even if it's been mostly forgotten by radio today.
You're much too hard to resist.
Number 14, Brand New Key by Melanie.
I roller skated to your door at day.
Melanie's quirky ode to roller skates hit number 1 in late 1971, blending innocence with a wink of innuendo. Written in just 15 minutes, it became a surprise hit thanks to its minimalist sound. Just guitar, bass, drums, and Melanie's signature voice.
I got a brand new pair of roller skates. You got a brand.
The song's childlike charm hid subtle double meanings, giving it a playful complexity. At a time when big production was the norm, its simplicity stood out.
I've been looking around a while. You got something for me.
Despite its success, Brand New Key has faded from regular airplay, but it remains a wonderfully oddball gem that captures the offbeat spirit of the era.
Some people say I done all right for a girl.
Number 13, Signs by Five-Man Electrical Band.
And the sign said, long-haired freaky people.
A standout in the early 70s wave of protest rock, Signs captured the frustration of a generation. With its sharp lyrics about conformity and exclusion, the song resonated with counterculture listeners and reached number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. Its raw guitar riff and garage rock energy set it apart from slicker chart hits, while Les Emerson's gritty vocals gave it real bite. Signs struck the rare balance between protest and pop, becoming both a commercial hit and an anthem of defiance. It also helped spotlight Canadian rock on the U.S. scene.
Shot on sight, so I jumped on the fence.
Number 12, Diterata by Les Crane.
You are a child of...
Now here's something completely different, a spoken word recording that became a top 10 hit. Les Crane's version of Diterata reached number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100 in early 1971, proving that audiences were hungry for something beyond traditional pop songs. The text, often misattributed to St. Paul's Church in Baltimore, was actually written by Max Ehrmann in 1927. Crane's recording featured the prose poem spoken over a gentle musical arrangement, creating an almost meditative listening experience. The words offered wisdom about finding peace in a chaotic world, themes that were particularly relevant during the turbulent early 70s.
Go placidly amid the noise and haste.
What made this recording special was Crane's delivery. His voice had a warm, authoritative quality that made the philosophical content accessible to mainstream audiences. The musical backing, featuring soft strings and gentle percussion, created the perfect atmospheric backdrop for the spoken words.
As far as possible without surrender. Be on good terms.
The success of Diterata reflected a broader cultural moment when people were seeking meaning and guidance. The song became a touchstone for the self-help movement and the general search for spiritual fulfillment that characterized the era. It's remarkable that a 700-year-old poem could resonate so strongly with 70s audiences.
Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others.
Number 11, YoYo by the Osmonds.
Hang on, just a little longer.
While their younger brother Donnie was conquering the charts as a solo artist, the Osmonds were making their own mark with this energetic rocker. YoYo reached number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 in late 1971, showcasing a harder edge that many people didn't expect from the clean-cut family group.
Oh yeah,
The song opened with a driving guitar riff that immediately grabbed attention. This wasn't the polished pop sound associated with the Osmond name. It was raw, aggressive rock that could hold its own against anything coming out of Detroit or Los Angeles. The production featured heavy drums and distorted guitars that created a wall of sound behind the vocals. What made YoYo particularly effective was how it balanced the group's natural harmonies with this harder musical approach. The brothers' voices blended perfectly, creating memorable hooks while maintaining the song's rock credibility. The lyrics, while not particularly complex, had an urgency that matched the musical intensity.
yo, just like a yo-yo.
The song's success was significant because it proved that the Osmonds were more than just a teen pop phenomenon. They could compete in the rock arena and create music that appealed to a broader audience. Unfortunately, this harder edge was largely abandoned in favor of more commercial material in later years. Number 10. The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down by Joan Bayz.
In the winter of '65, we were hungry.
Joan Bayz took Robbie Robertson's Civil War narrative and transformed it into one of the most powerful performances of 1971. Her version reached number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100, bringing the band's complex composition to a much wider audience. This success was particularly significant because it demonstrated how folk music could still find mainstream success in the rock era. Bayez's interpretation stripped away much of the band's Americana instrumentation, focusing instead on the emotional core of the story. Her crystalline voice brought new dimension to the lyrics, emphasizing the human tragedy behind the historical events. The arrangement was relatively simple: acoustic guitar, bass, and subtle percussion, allowing her vocals to carry the full weight of the narrative.
And all the people were singing, they went, na, 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 na.
What made this recording special was how Bayez managed to honor the original while making it completely her own. She understood that the song wasn't really about the Civil War. It was about loss, displacement, and the end of an era. Her performance captured these universal themes while maintaining the specific historical context. The song's success helped bridge the gap between the folk revival of the 60s and the singer-songwriter movement that was emerging in the 70s. It proved that audiences were still interested in music that told stories and addressed serious themes, even as pop music was becoming increasingly escapist.
They went, na, 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 na.
Number 9. I Am Woman by Helen Ready.
I am woman, hear me roar, in numbers too big to...
Before it became an anthem for women's liberation, I Am Woman was simply a powerful pop song that resonated with audiences across all demographics. Helen Ready's recording reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in December 1972, but it was released and began climbing the charts in late 1971.
Yes, I'm wise, but it's weird.
The song emerged from Ready's own experiences in the music industry. She had struggled to find material that reflected her perspective as a woman, so she decided to write her own. Working with lyricist Ray Burton, she created something that was both personal and universal. The lyrics spoke to the strength and resilience that women had always possessed, but rarely saw reflected in popular music.
'Cause it only serves to make me more determined to achieve.
Musically, the track featured a steady, driving beat that gave the lyrics additional power. The arrangement built gradually, adding layers of instrumentation as the song progressed, culminating in a triumphant finale that perfectly matched the lyrical message. Ready's vocal performance was both controlled and passionate, conveying determination without losing the song's accessibility.
But look
What's particularly interesting is how the song managed to be both a feminist statement and a mainstream hit. It didn't alienate male listeners or come across as preachy. It simply presented a different perspective that many people found refreshing. The success helped establish Ready as a major recording artist and paved the way for other women to express similar themes in their music. Number 8. Mercy, Mercy Me, The Ecology by Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye's environmental consciousness was ahead of its time, and Mercy, Mercy Me stands as one of the earliest mainstream pop songs to address ecological concerns. Released as part of his groundbreaking What's Going On album, the song reached number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 in late 1971.
Where did all the blue skies go?
The track opened with a haunting saxophone line that immediately set a contemplative mood. Gaye's vocals were layered over a sophisticated arrangement that featured jazz-influenced harmonies and subtle percussion. The production had a dreamlike quality that perfectly complemented the song's environmental themes.
All things and what they use.
Lyrically, the song was remarkably prescient. Gaye sang about air pollution, oil spills, and radiation poisoning, issues that were just beginning to enter public consciousness. His approach was more sorrowful than angry, expressing genuine concern for the planet's future, rather than pointing fingers at specific culprits.
How much more will you from me? Can't you stand?
What made the song particularly powerful was how it connected environmental degradation to broader social issues. Gaye understood that ecological problems couldn't be separated from questions of justice and equality. This holistic approach gave the song additional depth and helped it resonate with audiences who might not have been initially interested in environmental themes.
Radiation underground and in
The song's success was part of a broader transformation in Gaye's career, as he moved away from traditional love songs toward more socially conscious material. Mercy, Mercy Me proved that pop music could address serious issues without losing its emotional impact or commercial appeal.
mercy, mercy me.
Number 7. Stick Up by Honeycomb. The girl group sound was evolving in 1971, and Honeycomb represented that evolution perfectly. Stick Up reached number 11 on the Billboard Hot 100, showcasing a funkier, more assertive approach that differed significantly from the sweeter sounds of 60s girl groups. The song's premise was clever, using robbery metaphors to describe the theft of love. The lyrics were playful, but had an edge that matched the harder musical arrangement. The production featured a prominent bass line and sharp, punctuated horns that created a sense of urgency and danger.
It's a felony, heartbreaking the
What set Honeycomb apart was their vocal approach. Rather than the heavily orchestrated harmonies typical of earlier girl groups, they used a more conversational style that felt natural and contemporary. The lead vocals had attitude and personality, while the backing vocals provided rhythmic support rather than just melodic sweetness.
breaking lovers' hearts should be a crime.
The song's success was significant because it proved that the girl group format could adapt to changing musical trends. By incorporating elements of funk and soul, Honeycomb created something that felt both familiar and fresh. The track's energy and sophistication influenced other female groups throughout the 70s.
Set a tender trap, he'll be
Unfortunately, despite their talent and several chart successes, Honeycomb never achieved the lasting recognition they deserved. Stick Up remains one of the most overlooked gems of the early 70s. A perfect example of how innovation and tradition could be successfully combined.
highway robbery. It's
Number 6. Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin. While Led Zeppelin's Immigrant Song reached number 16 on the Billboard Hot 100 in early 1971, it's often overshadowed by their more famous tracks like Stairway to Heaven and Whole Lotta Love. However, this 2.5-minute powerhouse perfectly captured the band's ability to create epic music in a compact format. The song opened with one of the most recognizable guitar riffs in rock history, immediately followed by Robert Plant's distinctive wail. The track was inspired by the band's trip to Iceland and their fascination with Norse mythology. The lyrics painted vivid images of Viking conquests and mythological battles, delivered with Plant's characteristic dramatic flair. What made Immigrant Song particularly effective was its relentless energy. The song maintained a driving intensity from start to finish, with John Bonham's thunderous drums and John Paul Jones's steady bass providing a powerful foundation. Jimmy Page's guitar work was both melodic and aggressive, creating hooks that were impossible to ignore. The track's success helped establish Led Zeppelin as a major force in American rock, proving that their appeal extended beyond the album-oriented rock audience. The song's combination of heavy music and mythological themes would influence countless metal bands in the decades that followed. Despite its historical significance and enduring influence, Immigrant Song rarely receives the recognition it deserves in discussions of Led Zeppelin's catalog. It represents the band at their most focused and accessible, demonstrating how they could create music that was both commercially successful and artistically uncompromising. Number 5. Love Her Madly by The Doors. The Doors were entering their final phase in 1971, and Love Her Madly showed them exploring new musical territories while maintaining their distinctive sound. The song reached number 11 on the Billboard Hot 100, proving that the band could still create radio-friendly material without compromising their artistic vision. The track featured a lighter, more playful approach than much of The Doors' previous work. The arrangement incorporated elements of country and blues, with Robbie Krieger's guitar work taking on a more prominent role. Jim Morrison's vocals were more conversational than usual, creating an intimate feel that differed from his typical dramatic delivery. What made Love Her Madly particularly interesting was how it balanced accessibility with the band's experimental tendencies. The song had clear verses and choruses that made it radio-friendly, but it also included instrumental sections that allowed for improvisation and exploration. This balance showed The Doors' growing maturity as songwriters and performers. The lyrics dealt with themes of romantic obsession and jealousy, topics that Morrison had explored throughout his career. However, the approach was more subtle than in earlier songs, relying on suggestion rather than explicit imagery. This restraint made the song more universal, while maintaining its emotional impact. The song's success was particularly significant because it came during a period when the Doors were facing internal tensions and Morrison was struggling with personal problems. Love Her Madly demonstrated that the band could still create compelling music despite these challenges, making it a bittersweet reminder of what might have been. Number 4. Gypsies, Tramps and Thieves by Cher. Cher's solo career was just beginning to take shape in 1971, and Gypsies, Tramps and Thieves marked her emergence as a powerful individual artist. The song reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in November 1971, establishing Cher as more than just half of Sonny and Cher. The track told the story of a traveling performer from the perspective of her daughter, creating a multi-generational narrative that was both specific and universal. The lyrics addressed themes of prejudice, survival, and the judgment faced by those living outside conventional society. Cher's vocal performance brought emotional depth to the storytelling, making the characters feel real and relatable. Musically, the song featured a sophisticated arrangement that combined elements of pop, country, and folk. The production included acoustic guitars, strings, and subtle percussion that created a cinematic quality. The melody was memorable and singable, while the harmonies added richness without overwhelming the lead vocal.
Up a boy just south of Mobile, gave him a ride.
What made the song particularly effective was how it balanced entertainment with social commentary. The narrative was engaging enough to work as pure storytelling, but it also raised questions about social acceptance and the treatment of outsiders. This dual appeal helped the song connect with a broad audience while maintaining its artistic integrity. The success of Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves was crucial in establishing Cher's credibility as a solo artist. It proved that she could succeed without Sonny's songwriting and production, paving the way for a career that would span decades and multiple entertainment mediums.
In the wagon of a traveling show, her mama had to dance for the...
Number 3. Beginnings by Chicago.
When we're together laughing.
Chicago was at the height of their creative powers in 1971, and Beginnings perfectly showcased their ability to blend rock, jazz, and pop into something uniquely their own. The song reached number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100, demonstrating the band's growing mainstream appeal while maintaining their musical sophistication.
When I kiss you.
The track featured complex arrangements that incorporated multiple time signatures and intricate instrumental interplay. The horn section was particularly prominent, creating melodic lines that were both catchy and technically impressive. The rhythm section provided a solid foundation that allowed the other instruments to explore without losing the song's basic structure.
When we're together laughing.
Terry Kath's guitar work was a highlight, featuring both melodic passages and more aggressive rock sections. His vocals were passionate and soulful, bringing emotional depth to lyrics that dealt with themes of love and commitment. The interplay between Kath's guitar and the horn section created a musical conversation that was both sophisticated and accessible.
Over my body.
What set Beginnings apart was how it managed to be both a showcase for the band's technical abilities and an emotionally engaging song. The musical complexity never overshadowed the basic human themes at the song's core, creating something that appealed to both musicians and casual listeners. The song's success helped establish Chicago as one of the most important American bands of the 70s. It proved that audiences were ready for music that challenged them intellectually, while still providing emotional satisfaction, setting the stage for the band's continued evolution throughout the decade. Number 2. Toast and Marmalade for Tea by Tin Tin.
Toast and marmalade for tea.
Perhaps the most obscure song on our list, Toast and Marmalade for Tea by Tin Tin reached number 20 on the Billboard Hot 100 in early 2018, 1971. The Australian duo, managed by Robert Stigwood and featuring close connections to the Bee Gees, created something that was both distinctly of its time and oddly timeless.
When the sun is in your eyes.
The song's title and lyrics focused on simple domestic pleasures, creating a sense of comfort and contentment that was refreshing in an era of often serious and socially conscious music. The melody was gentle and lilting, with harmonies that recalled the best of British pop while maintaining its own identity.
I see through your disguise all the games.
What made the track particularly charming was its unassuming nature. There were no grand statements or dramatic moments, just a quiet celebration of everyday happiness. The production was warm and inviting, with acoustic guitars and soft percussion creating an intimate atmosphere.
Toast and marmalade for tea.
The song's success was somewhat surprising given its low-key approach, but it connected with audiences who were perhaps looking for a respite from more intense musical experiences. The track's gentle optimism provided a welcome contrast to the heavier sounds dominating the charts.
I'm lovelier than you. All the games.
Unfortunately, Tin Tin never achieved lasting success, making Toast and Marmalade for Tea something of a musical curiosity. The song remains a perfect example of how sometimes the most memorable music comes from the most unexpected sources, creating moments of beauty that transcend their original context.
More lovely than the day when
Number 1. For All We Know by the Carpenters.
Love, look at the two of us.
Topping our list is perhaps the most overlooked #1 hit of 1971. The Carpenters' version of For All We Know spent 3 weeks at the top of the Billboard Hot 100 in spring 1971. Yet it's rarely mentioned in discussions of the duo's greatest hits.
We've got a lifetime to share.
The song, originally written for the film Lovers and Other Strangers, dealt with themes of uncertain love and the fragility of romantic relationships. Karen Carpenter's vocal performance was a masterclass in emotional subtlety, conveying vulnerability and hope in equal measure. Her ability to find the emotional truth in a lyric was never more evident than in this recording.
Let's take a lifetime to see.
The arrangement was characteristically sophisticated, featuring Richard Carpenter's elegant piano work and subtle orchestration. The production had a warm, intimate quality that made listeners feel as though they were experiencing a private moment. The interplay between Karen's vocals and the instrumental backing created a perfect balance of sophistication and accessibility.
I'll feel you close to me.
What made For All We Know particularly special was how it captured the uncertainty of love without becoming pessimistic. The lyrics acknowledged that relationships might not last forever, but they also celebrated the beauty of connection in the present moment. This mature perspective set the song apart from the more idealistic love songs that dominated the charts.
I knew you well for a...
The song's success was significant because it established the Carpenters as more than just a pop act. They were serious musicians capable of interpreting complex material with grace and sophistication. Unfortunately, this particular song has been overshadowed by later hits like Close to You and We've Only Just Begun, making it one of the most underappreciated #1 hits of the entire decade.
Strangers in many...
If you enjoyed this journey through 1971's forgotten hits, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more musical archaeology. Share your own favorite forgotten songs from 1971 in the comments below. We'd love to hear about the tracks that have stayed with you through the years. Until next time, keep exploring, keep listening, and keep discovering the endless treasures that popular music has to offer.